Hello everyone and welcome to the science class. Today we are studying chapter number 7, Weather, Climate and Adaptations of Animals to Climate. In this video, we are going to study about weather, elements of weather, weather forecast and its benefits, climate, factor influencing the climate of a place, and the difference between the weather and climate. Now, have you heard people often talking as it's cloudy today or it's too cold to go out? Some says, oh, it was sunny in the morning and it is raining in the evening. Some says it's quite windy and some says it's very hot and humid today. Someone often advises us carry an umbrella, it's about to rain, or some says it's a good weather to go out for a picnic. When we talk any of these conditions of a particular place at a particular time or on a particular day, we are describing the weather. Now, what is weather? Weather refers to the day-to-day conditions of atmosphere at a place with respect to temperature, humidity, rainfall, wind speed, sunshine, clouds, etc. of that place. Weather is a very complex phenomenon and it can vary in a very short period of time. Weather does not remain same. It changes from day to day and week to week. So, it is a daily atmospheric conditions of a place. Now, we will be discussing about the different elements of the weather. So, different elements of the weather are temperature, humidity, rainfall and wind. They are referred as the elements of weather because they are responsible for the changes in the atmospheric condition. So let us discuss the first element of weather, temperature. Temperature changes during 24 hours are very significant. Morning are the coolest and the afternoon are the hottest time of the day. The temperature becomes maximum in the afternoon. Why? Because as the sun rises, temperature also rises gradually till noon due to heat coming from the sun rays. When heat escapes during night, the temperature falls and it is lowest in the early morning. So, afternoon is the hottest and early morning is the coolest time of the day. It is recorded with the help of maximum minimum thermometer. Maximum temperature represents the highest temperature reached during the day, which is at the noon time only. Whereas the minimum temperature represents the lowest temperature reached during the day, and it is often recorded at the early mornings. Our next element of weather is humidity. It refers to the amount of water vapor or moisture present in the air. There is always some amount of water vapor in the air and it keeps changing with the temperature and rainfall. Humidity is measured by an instrument called hygrometer and is always expressed in terms of percentage. If humidity is 100%, it means the air is saturated with water vapor. The saturated air with water vapor means the air that contains maximum amount of water vapor that is possible at a given temperature. The next element of weather is rainfall. Now, How is rainfall caused? So here we are discussing about the rainfall. Due to the heat of the sun, water from the water bodies gets evaporated and the water vapor on rising upwards remains floating in the air. When the air with 100% humidity cools down, its water vapor condenses, that is, changes into tiny water droplets and then they form clouds. Further, cooling causes rainfall. At high altitudes, where the temperature is very low, water droplets freeze and comes down as a snowfall. Rainfall is measured by rain gauge and it is measured in millimeters. Our last element of weather is wind. Moving air is called as wind. It is caused due to the differences in temperature in the air. Wind causes other components of weather such as clouds and rain to occur. Places which are closer to the ocean are often very windy. These places experiences sea breeze and land breeze every day due to difference in temperature between land and sea. The phenomena of sea breeze and land breeze was explained in chapter number 4 heat earlier also. The wind speed is measured by an instrument called anemometer. It rotates at the same speed as the wind. Now we will be discussing about the weather forecast. The scientific study of weather is called as meteorology and the department is called as meteorology department. Meteorologists, that is the people who study weather. So, meteorologists can predict the weather by collecting the data with the help of weather balloons, radars, and weather satellites, photographs about the cloud formation. The collective data is called as weather reports. Weather reports involve a combination of computer models, observations, and the knowledge of trends and patterns. Using these methods, reasonably accurate predictions about the weather can be made up to 5 days in advance. Prediction of atmospheric conditions or weather in advance is called as weather forecast. Now, what does a weather report gives us or what does a weather report contains? A weather report gives the following informations: maximum and minimum temperature within past 24 hours, relative humidity, rainfall, sunrise and sunsets, moonrise and moonset, prediction of weather for the present day as clear sky, cloudy, thunderstorms. Now, what is the benefit of weather forecasting? As I have described that weather forecasting means predicting the weather conditions before. So, weather forecasting allows people to prepare for bad weather. It is helpful to protect life and property. It is helpful to plan activities and events. It is helpful for farmers to plan various agriculture activities. These are the some benefits of weather forecasting. Now let us discuss about the climate. What does climate refers to? So climate of a place is defined as the average weather conditions at a particular place over a long period of time, say 20 to 30 years or more. It varies from place to place. Climate is referred as the weather pattern over a large geographical area. Climate of a place always remains the same throughout the year. It never changes. Now, how will you determine the climate of a place, or how the climate of a place is determined? So here I'm going to discuss you the method by which the climate of a place is determined. Meteorologists maintain the record of everyday weather like maximum minimum temperature, humidity, rainfall if any. Average maximum and minimum temperatures for the month are calculated. Then mean of average temperature of each month is calculated over many years. The long-term temperature chart is used for making the climate chart of that place. Now, what are the factors which influence the climate of a place? Guys, the climate of a place is determined by the following factors. Number 1, latitude or the distance from the equator. Number 2, distance from the sea. Number 3, humidity and rainfall. Number 4, altitude or height above the sea level. So, here we are discussing the first factor that affect the climate of a place. That is the latitude or distance from the equator. So first of all, we should know what is equator. Equator is an imaginary line that passes horizontally at 0 degrees and divides the earth into two equal halves, northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Distance of a place from the equator is represented by latitude. The sun rays fall straight on the equator, so places in the equatorial region are nearby very warm and have maximum rainfall. As we move away from the equator on either side towards the pole, the angle of sun rays increases, so the intensity of heat and light decreases. Hence, distance from the equator determines the climate of a place. Now, the climatic zones of the earth. Based on the difference in temperature and rainfall, 3 climatic zones have been identified on the earth. Number 1, torrid zones. These zones are hot and humid zones around the equator, getting direct sun rays throughout the year. They have tropical evergreen forests. Number 2, frigid zones. These zones are the regions around the North and the South Pole. They receive slanting sun rays and are very cold. They have grasses, lichens, mosses, and shrubs. And number 3 is temperate zone. These zones lie between torrid and the frigid zone. They have grasslands and few trees. Our second factor that influences the climate of a place is the distance from the sea. The climate of a place is also affected by its distance from the sea. The coastal areas being close to the sea have moderate climate and the weather remains almost unchanged throughout the year. As we move inland away from the sea, the temperature shows drastic changes during summer and winter. The central parts of the continents are very dry and hot in summer and extremely cold in winters. A third factor which influences the climate of a place is humidity and rainfall. Climate is also influenced by the amount of rainfall. The amount of rainfall depends upon the closeness to the sea and the direction of wind. For example, winds blowing from the sea brings rain, whereas the winds coming from the land are usually dry and cause bright sunny days. Mountains are also responsible for rainfall. When moisture-laden winds from the oceans hit the mountains, they pour rain. Our last but not the least factor which influences the climate of a place is altitude, or we could say height above the sea level. As we go higher from the sea level, the temperature gradually comes down. We can see snow-covered mountain ranges at very high altitude. Mountains also receive more rainfall than the low-lying areas because at low temperature, water vapor condenses and comes down as rain. Now, many differences are there between the weather and climate. Here we are discussing about the three major differences between weather and climate. Number one, weather. It refers to changes in the atmosphere for a short period of time, whereas climate refers to the average weather of a place over a very long period of time. Weather of a place is not constant and can change many times in a day, like it may be hot, cloudy, rainy on the same day, whereas climate of a place is taken on a broad term like desert climate. It does not refer to changes in a day. Weather refers to over a small geographical area like weather of Delhi, whereas climate refers to the climate over a large geographical area like the climate of northern India. So, apart from these factors, there are some other activities which have impact on the climate, just like the human activities like large scale falling of trees and depletion of forest, and transportation, industrialization and refrigeration. These activities are adding carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. So, this is a threat to increase in the atmospheric temperature and change in the climate. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching the video. In the next video, we will be discussing about the adaptations of animals in the different areas. Thank you.